Morning everybody. Here I'm on the beach and Annetta and Timothy are doing schoolwork in the van at the moment, and I just wanted to just take us time to share or chat to you about the good, the bad and the ugly of van life. And well, there's a plane coming and it says we're quite close to Malaga, and that's going to land at the airport in Malaga. Malaga is just up the stretch there, and we've got a nice campsite over there, well, park up. And but anyway, I'll get back on the topic. Yeah, the good, the bad and the ugly of camper vanning. And I just thought it'd be something, you don't hear lots of people talking about the bad or the ugly side of it. It's normally just the good side of it. But let's start with the good side. I think the good side definitely is being able to share these really they're precious moments together as a family, and being able to travel as we're doing at the moment, and visiting and seeing so many different countries and places. I mean, Timothy in his 8 years has seen or visited about 15 countries, and some of those he's actually been to multiple times, so he's pretty well traveled for 8 years old. And it's just it's invaluable. You can't put a price to being able to share this time together. So often people get into routines. You work, you come home, the kids, a lot of them in Norway spend time at aftercare at the school, because the parents are working, they get picked up later on or they come home later on. The weather's cold or it's wet. There's not a lot to really be able to do, and you might spend times on the weekend together, but so much of that time is lost in between, and we're able to actually make use of that. We actually been able to spend 7 days of the week together. So that's you can't put a price tag to that. That's just very, very special. And it's I would think the time that Timothy gets, the experiences that he's able to experience, and the places he goes to, what he's learnt in these 5 months is again way beyond what other youngsters are doing at his level in school. Not only that, he gets one-on-one tuition, so he's way ahead on maths and a lot of other topics, and of course languages. He talks 2 languages. He's bilingual in both languages, which kids of his age at his grade at school only basically speaking 1 language. So he's way ahead, and it's not always it's always sometimes a bit of a battle. He'd rather be on the beach running around than sitting there doing schoolwork, but it's just one of those things. But he definitely is way ahead. So I would say that being able to do this, the youngster with the other kids, parents are thinking of doing this type of van lifing with the youngster with a child or 2 children, I don't know. You can definitely have far more time with your child, and definitely they're going to benefit a lot, which Timothy definitely. I would say maybe the downside of it, which is maybe a bit of the bad side of it in a way, is that he can't he doesn't have that much opportunity to socialize with other kids of his age, because we haven't been able to find other van lifers with children. We're going to try hard at doing that, and but the good side, as I said, is just having this family time together, which you just can't compare to a normal treadmill type lifestyle when you're back at work. So definitely that's the good side. But as I said, being able to explore different countries, different places, go to these different venues. I mean, in our videos up to now, we've shown you the different countries and what the different places we've gone to in those countries. The highest sand dunes in Europe. I've got to put the video up still. The longest underground river in Europe. Skagen, where the two seas meet together, the North and the Baltic. All those type of things that Timothy has experienced that, and those are memories that he's going to have, and it's incredible education for him. So the good side is definitely that side of it. Then you get the bad. The bad, as in all types of aspects of one's life, you're going to have bad, and it's also van lifing's got bad. I would put it down as problems on the road. You get breakdowns. Remember, that's your home on wheels, so you can't just park it off and go somewhere. The van's got to be with. You've got to get the van sorted out pretty quickly. So you do have those issues, and it's always a worry that something's going to go wrong. So the other side of it is water. Finding water. Water is for me, is a real pain in the neck, because you do go through water irrespective of how careful you are and how you try to conserve your water. I mean, we carry over 100 liters, and we're having to top up or make sure we fill those containers up every few days. So one does try and find these places, so maybe the second day, and sometimes you can't. The garages won't give you water. There are some that you can get it, some you can pay for it, but a lot of places, different countries, some countries you have no problem getting water, others they're not interested to give you any water, so you get no help from that side of it. And running out of water is a problem in a van. Other side of bad is park-ups. You can have some really nice park-ups, and but you just never know if you're going to be moved on. I mean, we've been moved on by the police, and we were in a parking area the other day. It was a really nice one on the beachfront. It wasn't on the road, it was actually a parking, it was like a big area, and there were maybe about 20 of our vans there, and the police came up. They were very pleasant. They weren't bad about it. They just said, look, we got to move, simple as that. And I think one doesn't realize that our van is our car, so even during the day we weren't allowed to park there where other cars were allowed to park there. So that's a bad side of it. It's always you worry whether police are going to come and move you. The constant moving around, you would like to just be able to put down roots for maybe a week or so and just find a really good spot where it's ideal. I've still got to find that really perfect spot. We've been traveling 5 months now. We found a lot of nice places, but the place where we've been up to now, the countries that we've been up to, like Spain and France, and where you expect it to be really nice, has been a little bit disappointing. So like you can see now, the surf here is flat, so all the surf schools are closed down. Where we are now, there's just nothing to do. So we're going to have to you've got to find places to visit. Sometimes you're near, like Nedja the other day. In Nedja we were able to walk from our parking. This is the one that we were moved on. We could walk from there along the promenade. It was about 2 kilometers to the town, and it was nice. Those type of places are really good. And but as I said, the bad side of it is the continual moving and just not knowing whether you could be moved on or you're going to have a visit from the police. And then you get, unfortunately, the ugly side. The ugly side is the people that you're going to run into sometimes, and it's not that frequent, but when it happens, it's really unpleasant. And we've had a couple of those situations, but the one that we had yesterday, I would say maybe it's definitely been the worst. Whereas we had parked up just not far from here, actually. It's only maybe a kilometer down the road, and we've got, as everybody else, you got grey water. Now we vegetarians, so our grey water is literally grey water. That's really what it looks like, grey water. There's no grease or fat or any rubbish in it, and that grey water can be used. You can put it onto the grass, you can put it onto plants. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's generally what I do, is I'll drain out the water and just put it onto plants or onto next to trees or something like that. And this individual that we had parked next to us was from Sweden, and I just emptied half a bucket of water onto the roots of a tree next to the vehicle, and he came across and was really very loud. He had been drinking, that was obvious, and he literally was shouting at me, but in Sweden. He was talking Swedish, and he had seen our, because on the number plates we've got our little flags, which are the compulsory indication of the country that you come from. So he knew he was from Norway, and he expected me to speak Norwegian, obviously, which I'm not doing at the moment. And so I just answered him back in English, which seemed to make him more agitated. And I basically told him that to mind his own business. And but he was very confrontational, and what then happened is Aneta and Timothy came out. They had heard this going on, and then Timothy got really upset about it. It really upset him, which then made me pretty aggravated. And he was sitting there with some young guys across the road that were also campervaners, and I don't think they had anything to really do with him. It was just that he had invited himself across to them, and he had been drinking. I'd watched him earlier on when Timmy was playing on the beach. He had this bottle and he was in his back pocket, and he had been drinking quite a lot, so he was pretty much on his ear. And one of the guys did come across and apologize, which he said he's sorry that it had sort of gone that way, but it was nothing to do with them, because he wasn't their friend. He just imposed himself on them. And so I think Annette and Timmy wanted to move there and then, but I said, look, we'll wait for the morning, which we did, packed up, and we moved down to this spot. But that's just one of the ugly things, because it really that wasn't a local. That was actually somebody from another country traveling in a van lifer. And you know, you don't expect that from other van lifers. But he's obviously one of those type that you know, the sad thing is that if the police had stopped or had gone to a situation where we had reported it to the police, they might have actually chased everybody out of those parking areas, because I don't think they want situations arising where people are drunk. And so we left it at that, and we just packed up the next morning. We came through here. But okay, that's just the good, the bad and the ugly. That's just the type of incident that you might find along the way. Generally you find people are really nice. We met some really super people along the way, and there's a list of them that we've struck up conversations with, and really it's been magic. But of course it's just those type of people which just seem to ruin the whole thing. But okay, well, that was a quick one. I hope it wasn't that quick, but there was the good, the bad and the ugly of camper vanning. And if you've got any comments, please make a comment, put it in. If you are a camper vanner who've watched our vlog, just let us know what you think. I will be putting up some of these other videos as soon as we can, and be nice. Annette and ourselves must sit down one day and just introduce ourselves properly. We have done it in previous ones, but not really a good sit down, and just explain our story, our love story, where we started, how we met, and then where we went from there and how it got to this point. But okay, everybody, have a magic day, and we'll catch up soon. Cheers.